What is up, guys? It's MTG of MTG Reviews. Today we have the smallest car we've ever featured on the channel, the Hyundai Grand i10, which is a starting price of 240,000. So if you're looking to buy your first car, I think you should stick around and watch this video to see if this car is worth it or not. I'll actually compare it to some of its rivals, namely the Kia Picanto, Suzuki Swift, the Suzuki Ignis, Toyota Vitz, and the VW Polo Vivo to help you decide on your first car. Let's get to it. So how it looks on the outside is very objective, I'd say. So the front looks very aggressive. It has this huge grille which is almost all closed off. I mean, it's form of a function. This car is a small engine. It doesn't really need much cooling. So another thing is the design of the headlights. They turn me off actually. I just don't get it. It looks odd. It doesn't go with the aggressiveness of the grille. However, this is how I would have designed the front, actually redesigned. I'd make the headlights slimmer to go with the aggressiveness of the grille. Yeah, let me have what you think about it on the comment section. The side is a bit different from the front. No risks were taken here. It's zero aggressiveness. It's just plain lines. It's all smooth. And an indicator of this spec is the side mirrors. As you can see, they are black, meaning this is the base spec. However, the dark color of the car hides it very well, so it looks okay. And yeah, that's basically it. Oh, and another thing is the wheels. You can see these are steelies. These are steely wheels. This is a 14-inch and they are covered with wheel caps. Now to the back, it looks okay. It's all right. It has this non-functional strip LED vibey thing that's running across the headlights. And I get it, that doesn't work, but then you wouldn't know unless you know, in which you know now. Yeah, now you have it doesn't work, but then it looks okay. It's cool. And below that strip we have the reverse camera, which comes standard. Nice touch. And this is how I'd spice up the look of it. If it was me redesigning it, I'd like give it this modern look, slim everything down, and to go with that aggressive look that has already been embodied in the front. Yes. Now, getting inside, one thing I noticed is that you sit very high. Even at the lowest sitting position, you're still high, in which is a good thing for some people, but not really for me. I prefer my seat being really low. And the dashboard looks okay. It's a good dashboard for an entry-level car. The design is nice and modern. We have this honeycomb pattern on the left side of the dashboard, which makes it not to be dull and boring. And under it, we have the glove box, which has decent space, as you can see. But then I couldn't fit my gimbal on this extra storage space here just above the glove box because my gimbal is taller than that. So, but yeah, it's a decent enough space. And on the interior, there's these red accents. It's on the seat and on the dashboard, which livens up the interior, and it makes it looks good actually. It's decent. And this might be a nitpick, but then the steering wheel has control buttons on the left side instead of the right side. I think it makes more sense to put it on the right side because most people are right-handed and you'd be able to change gears while using it. But anyways, the steering wheel design looks okay. It's okay. And the gauge cluster is analog. It looks clean. Everything is clear. The font is good. However, I find this checkered flag styling funny because it's synonymous with racing, and this car is the parallel of that. It's just far from being a race car. Now to the infotainment. This is an 8-inch screen, which is big enough for this small interior. The UI is direct. After getting used to it, it could be cleaner, but it's okay. It's fine. It's direct. It has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is actually handy for a new car buyer. And another thing which I find funny is that you can change the reverse camera guidelines from hatch to sedan, but this is the hatch. And why? But then it means that this UI is plugged from, or actually plugged from these cars straight to the sedan, or it's just like an interchangeable UI, in which, yeah, it is what it is. And another thing is that you can't operate the screen. You can't use it at all when you're on the reverse view. Basically, when your gear is in reverse, you can't use the screen at all, which I find not to be good. Moving to the back seats, surprisingly, we have events here. I mean, this is nice, and it's a small car. I mean, it doesn't really need them, but then it's a nice touch that they have them, and the knee room is okay. It's fine. I fit behind myself. This is the front seat is at my sitting position, in which is, yeah, it's decent. And another thing that you might consider when buying this car is the boot space. It's at 256 liters with the rear seats up, and up to 1050 liters with the rear seats folded, which is actually more than enough for most people. And under that, we have the full spare, which I appreciate. And yeah, that's basically it with the inside of this car. It's not fussy, there's not really a lot of things here. So let's get to the fun part, the competition. The competitors, as I've said, is the Kia Picanto, the VW Polo Vivo, the Suzuki Swift, and the Suzuki Ignis, and lastly the Toyota Vitz. Now let's reorganize them according to their price. So the Polo is the most expensive out of the bunch. We'll put it first, and it actually has less features and has a higher starting price of 259 and 400 rands. Then comes the i10, followed by the Kia Picanto, then the Suzuki Ignis, and then comes the Suzuki Swift, and lastly we have the Toyota Vitz. So here are some of the key points that a first-time buyers might consider. From the price to the amenities such as electric windows, I'll mark green to those who win that specific category and red to those who aren't as good. From the price, we can see that the Vitz is the cheapest and the Polo being the most expensive out of the bunch. And up next is the engine. Surprisingly, the cheapest car is not the least powerful. It's actually the most expensive car, being the i10 with 3 cylinders and 48.5 kilowatts. And on the warranty, the Suzukis are better. Both of them, they over 5 years or 200 kilometers. Yeah, and up next is the consumption. As you can see, the smallest car is the most efficient, so yeah, it makes sense. And another thing is the fuel tank size. The Polo beats everyone. I mean, it's a bigger car, so it makes sense. And the boot, surprisingly, the one of the smallest car being the Vitz takes it. It has more boot space than the Polo, but then it's way smaller. And then another thing, which I mean shouldn't be an option now, is electric windows. The Vitz doesn't have any, and the Polo only has the fronts, while all the others are electric throughout the cabin. Keep in mind that these are the base spec without any options. So yeah, so that's basically the competition. I'll sum everything up on the verdict. I'll let you know which car I'll choose out of these ones. And heads up, I'm dropping the i20 review next, which is the i10's big sister. I suggest that you subscribe and stay tuned for that. Now getting to the cost of ownership. So how much would it cost you to own this car monthly? So as I've already mentioned, that this car cost 239 and 500,000. So at an interest rate of 12% over 6 years with no deposit, the car would cost you 4,774 rand installment. However, we need to factor in petrol at an estimate of 1,000 rands monthly. This has a small tank and it's fuel efficient, and an insurance at an estimate of 1.5. That would round up to 7,274 rands and would go down to 6,805 rands with 10% deposit. If you want to check how much the Polo Vivo would cost you monthly, check out the pop-up banner at the top right corner or click the link in the description below. Now let's get to the final verdict. So this is an okay car. It drives fine. It has a very light clutch, but it's okay. However, I wouldn't buy this car out of all those cars that I've compared it with. I'd get the Polo Vivo over this. For me, I'm a guy, man. It just makes sense for me to get a Polo over any of these small cars, even though the Polo doesn't have much amenities as like the rear air vents or all-around electric windows. But I feel like to me it's a better car. But then, however, with this budget, I'd say I'd go for something different out of this bunch. I'd go for a Corolla, this specific Corolla, or this specific Polo. It's a low mileage Polo, fairly low mileage, but however, you must be aware of the mileage because that can be filled with. So you must be careful. You must know what to look at before buying a car, especially second-hand cars, because that can be tricky. So yeah, check if the car has been involved in an accident. There's a couple of things that you might have to look out for. I might make a video about that, but we'll see. So yeah, that's it for now. Get subscribed. Danko.